Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Get Inspired and Live in Your Power. And I have an awesome guest today, Victor Garcia. Thank you for joining us, Victor.
Yeah, I'm excited for the call. I always dig these. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I love it. Well, thank you for
Uh,
joining. Victor is the founder of Eight Figure Empires, and I'm super excited to have him on the call today. I want to give you a little bit of background on him, and then he's got an awesome story to tell, and I'm just really excited to hear and see how this goes. We're just going to have a great conversation. It's going to be amazing.
yeah, definitely.
Victor Garcia is an exponential growth coach who specializes in helping coaches, consultants, and experts turn their expertise into an online empire so they can exponentially increase their impact and income. Victor's expertise lies in designing and scaling high-end coaching programs and masterminds that cater to the unique needs of industry experts. In addition, he and his team occasionally collaborate with 6- and 7-figure experts to oversee their campaigns and virtual events in order to facilitate growth and remove the expert. Okay.
Yeah, remove the expert from their day-to-day grind because they are their
Yes.
own chokehold. Yeah.
And I really resonate with that. If anybody that knows me knows that I hire a lot of stuff out because I want to just be in my genius. I do not want to have to be in that day-to-day grind of the operations. I have people who are amazing and super talented at those things. And I want to make sure that they're doing the things that they're super talented at, and I'm doing the things that I'm super talented at. Victor, I know I talked with you a little bit before, and you kind of have a backstory that I'd love to just have you share a little bit about your backstory, because I think you kind of went through that, knowing where you truly fit and stepping into your genius.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I got certified as a personal trainer back in 2000 when my daughter was born. And I was always entrepreneurial. So at like 18, I already had the thoughts of opening a gym and all that kind of stuff. So from 2000 up until like 2016, was off and on personal trainer, high performance coach, and then did some businesses along the way. Most failed, some did good, right?
I
Real estate
appreciate
did
you
great.
sharing that, because I know a lot of times, we try different things, and I know I've tried a lot of different things, and I'm not doing them anymore. But
Right.
you said failed. I know you probably don't count those as like failures. There's probably
Oh, I count them all as failures.
okay.
But as you go more through business and you start to mature through business, you realize like that's what helped you to become a good
Yes.
business owner. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely a lot of failures in there, but some good successes too. So around, I don't know, 2013, maybe 12, I started learning about this online stuff, right? What was this Google PPC stuff? And then started seeing folks like Frank Kern, Russell Brunson, those guys, right? And then started learning funnels, Facebook ads, all that stuff. So then 2016 took my coaching to the online world just because you could help more people. So bigger impact, bigger income, and it was going well. So we're doing like everything. So like it was the coaching, the funnels, the blog posts, the social media posts, right? And it was going good. My wife has her own business, loan processing company. In around 2018, it started taking off for her. So she wanted to step back because she's not like a forward facing person. She's behind the scenes, dot the I's, cross the T's kind of person. So it was always like hard for her to get in front of a camera. So I said, okay, that's like perfect timing because I really wanted to start this men's coaching program for like better business owners, better husbands, better fathers, better leaders, all that kind of stuff, and revolved around the high performance world. So 2000, maybe I think it was summer of 19, launched it. So it was a brand new offer, brand new messaging, brand new market, brand new everything. Did good as soon as they launched it for maybe like the first 2 weeks. Started getting some really good quality clients until it just like bombed. And it was my second time doing Facebook ads, but first time really doing it and going all out. So I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to fix the problem. Just constantly bad leads, burning money. So it's like wake up at 4, check your funnels, check your lead or your Facebook ads, tweak things, and then go train your clients, right? And then it was and then come back, field all the calls that were coming in, which were all horrible. And then train more clients later. And then it was and then in the evening, like you're up to like 10 or 12 doing messing with the ads, still trying to get them to work. So it was like that for probably like 3 months.
I want to just pause there for just a second.
Yeah, totally.
I know that our listeners have gone down the rabbit hole of, oh, if I had the team, or if I had the time, or if I had the knowledge, or if I had the money, to just put into the ads, just to, get it all the message out there, I'm sure that people would grab onto it. But what you're telling me is you were doing all those things.
All of it.
Yeah. And still, it either wasn't the right client, or it wasn't, there was whatever, it just wasn't working. So it's not necessarily just doing all the quote right things.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
It's a huge learning curve, right? Which doing it's going to be your best teacher. And I'm one of those people of if I could do it, you could do it, because I'm now 44, still working on my high school diploma. Almost got my GED, but there's a good story behind that why I didn't.
That.
But so it wasn't going well. So I was like, I finally shut down all the ads, finished with the clients I had. And I know, like, it was a great learning lesson. And I know why it didn't work. So then I was revamping the offer, but as I was revamping the offer, I was in other coaching programs and masterminds. And when you're in those, especially masterminds, you're supposed to network. So then you could help one another, promote one another, JV partners and stuff. And one of the masterminds I was in, most of the people were really green to all this funnel, Facebook ads, and all that kind of stuff. So the conversations were starting to turn into like needing help. So I started helping them like tweak their ads, because now I was going back to the drawing board, learning all the stuff that broke. So getting better with the Facebook ads and the funnels and the copy and offer, right? So everything I was learning, I was divulging to them. They started having success. So it was crazy how I bombed, but then the folks I'm helping give just advice to, right? And actually going inside some of their stuff and tweaking it, they start having success. So then people started circling back around, and then word got around, like the mastermind. So now folks are reaching out, and it's now I'm getting a, can I hire you? And I'm entrepreneur, right? So I'm like, no, I'm not a good employee. But that's when it started forming like revenue shares, where I started collaborating, where we'll do like a challenge or a workshop or a summit or something like that. And I'd help set up the ads, do the copy. And then through doing this, like everything I was creating was an asset. So now I was like templatizing all these assets that I was developing with these other folks. And we just do revenue shares. A couple good partnerships came out of it as well. And it was kind of like it's weird how you get caught up in doing these things. And it's like finally, like one day, like I lift my head up, not really, but and lift my head up. And it's like, wow, I'm actually good at this stuff. And I'm enjoying it, right? So it's lucrative. It's making an impact, and I enjoy doing it. Yeah, it's like the trifecta. So, and I'll redo the men's coaching program at some time, but it's been a great journey. I've learned a lot about business, but the biggest thing I think I've learned is being inside of a lot of different coaching programs and a lot of different offers, which everything revolves around the offer. So it's really taught me how to create an irresistible offer that the market's going to want, which most coaches develop what they know that the person needs because they have the expertise, right? But you got to develop what they want, and then through the coaching program, give them what they need to get the results.
Wow, that's amazing. And I just, I've been where you were talking about, where you're part of a mastermind. You've hired this coach, and so you're on these group calls, and people start recognizing a gift that you yet had not really discovered it yet. You didn't even really know that this was what you were good at. I mean, you probably knew that you were good at it. It's probably like, oh yeah, everybody can do that.
Well, yeah, and I thought I was good at it because I did it with the fitness company, Fit Body Formula Academy. But then it's like when I went to this new offer, it was like, it just bombed. Oh. Which that's where I learned it all revolves around the offer, and then know how to run your Facebook ad so you get good clients or good prospects coming in.
Yeah, amazing. So back around to like those failures. Yeah, they failed, but it gave you so much great information
Mm-hmm.
to be able to now pass on, to the clients that you have.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners a little bit more about this revenue share, because I know you explained it to me and I'm like, wow, that is a new concept. And so share a little bit about how you work with people.
Well, when I was first doing it too, it's like, well, what do you charge also? And it's like, oh, I don't know. Let's just do something and see how it works out. And let's do a revenue split. That just seemed fair. That like I actually had to produce results to then get paid, right? Versus like all these coaching programs or marketing agencies where you got to put like 3 months down or something like that to hope that they get you results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone's brand new with an offer, then that's high risk. So I will charge upfront. So because I have a coaching program too, and that's more of like a fulfillment center for me. It's not the big revenue center, but on the revenue side of things, it's well, one thing, remember everything revolves around the offer, irresistible offer. So imagine I end up in your LinkedIn box and the LinkedIn, because I really do this, the LinkedIn messages say, hey, me and my team run 6-figure promotions for 6 and 7-figure experts with no upfront costs. Would you be interested in speaking? So it's like a no-brainer offer. Like I really get that sometimes. People say, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of people that put their antennas up or they're worried about what is this guy really selling. But then there's obviously sometimes there's costs. Like if they're wanting all this stuff done, there might be upfront costs. But the revenue share model to me it's just a win-win for everyone because you have to actually perform. Like like if you can run Facebook ads for someone, well, run Facebook ads for someone and get paid on the back end and charge more for it. Because ultimately, what I'm really looking for is some form of long-term collaboration or partnership where I could help someone grow their business. Because I was in the expert seat before coming up with all the content, shooting all the content videos, shooting all the Facebook videos, doing all the Facebook ads, building the funnels, writing the copy for the funnels, right? And then at the same time, now you're trying to also run your business and be a coach or consultant to whoever you're serving, which is just like way too many hats. So I love the coaching consulting part as well, because I'm definitely a coach inside. But I think I've kind of been blessed in both worlds where I'm also a builder. So I like building things, right? The strategy and building it. Now, actually being the guy in there, like pushing all those dang buttons, I don't like. Well, I can't say that I don't like doing it. If that was my only job, I was the button pusher. I don't mind it because I'm building something like building a funnel, right? Or creating these Facebook ads and the strategy behind it. And I'm in there building it. But when you're building it, coming up with the strategy, overlooking the process, right? And then on top of that, because that's what we do. But now imagine on top of that, now you're the person that has to do the content. Now you're the one that has to do the calls. You have to do the coaching, right? It's just.
Yeah. So you definitely have to, pick those things that you're truly passionate about. And that's what's great, about everybody being so unique. Everybody kind of has their own unique genius inside. And, that's what it's all about. Like getting inspired and living in your power is you get inspired to what are people really wanting from me that also is something I really enjoy and I'm really good at. And then hiring other people or bringing other people on board or having the people that you are partnering with bring their team on board or whatever it is, to have the other pieces all put together because you can't do it all. There's absolutely
collaboration.
Yeah, you definitely have to collaborate. Something you mentioned, I want to go back to, you talked about like putting a message out on LinkedIn that is just basically like a no-brainer. Sure, let's meet, let's talk about this. But then your offer, I love this idea of revenue share because it kind of alleviates the fears that a lot of people have of, having to put money in, like, is this really going to pay off? Am I really going to get my money back from this? And more, is this investment going to pay off? I know that's what I look at is, am I going to make money from this investment? Because I look at coaching as an investment. It's not money out the door. And it's not even really an investment in myself. It definitely, I'm going to grow, but it's an investment in my ability to influence. It's an investment in my ability to touch more people, to touch more lives, and to make more money. I think that you have to be able to make a lot of money to be able to continue doing what you're doing.
Yes.
So I love that idea of a no-brainer question, and then coming back with an offer that people are like, it's a no-brainer, it's an irresistible offer, like you said, because it's like, why wouldn't I say yes to that? Because you're basically guaranteeing the success of what you're so committed and you're so confident with what you're offering that there is no risk.
Right. Yeah, and then I will give a little disclaimer with the whole LinkedIn messaging or DMing folks. I hate with a passion. I don't hate many things, but I hate what I call sleazy slider DM pitches, where people show up in your DM with, "Hey, how are you?" Right? And ultimately all they're trying to do is like, "Hey, want more clients? Right? Want to buy my stuff?" So it's not always that easy for some offers just to be like, "Hey, here's the offer. You want it or not?" But it doesn't mean, like, for other offers, let's say I have just a coaching program that I'm selling, I would just make a friend, I'd make a connection, and then have a real human conversation for a couple messages, and then say, "Hey, I'll just swing back around with a free gift in a little bit to help you with blank." And then you circle back around and give them like a freebie of some sort, right? Value.
Yeah, totally. You are looking for the long-term relationship. So whether it comes in from a question that somebody responds to, and then you do make the offer, or making a friend, because it's all about the long-term relationship. I love that.
Yeah, versus, because literally I see those like sleazy slider DM messages as the guy or girl, most likely would probably be a guy, going to each girl at the bar saying, "Hey, want to go home? Hey, want to go home? Wait, gonna home?" And it's gonna work like almost every night. The guy could probably get someone to go home, but it's like you've passed up so many potential other clients, right? Because you're just like, "Want to buy my stuff, want to buy my stuff, want to buy my stuff." And people just like it. If you finally find that one person who's like, "Yes, I was just thinking about buying this," then you hit them, right? You get that person. But I don't know, as a foundational business principle of doing that, meh.
Yeah, from what you're saying, it's not a numbers game. You hear that all the time in sales. It's just a numbers game. It's just like, yes, no, next. Yes, no, next. That's what you're saying. And it really isn't a numbers game.
It's a relationship
game. It totally, yes, we 100% agree on that.
Yep.
One of the thoughts that I had about you when you started into this business, where you were offering your services and doing it on a revenue share basis, you were talking about 8-figure empires, but you did not have an 8-figure empire. You were at that point, you were kind of at your low point, but you had recognized your greatness, you'd recognized your genius, and you were ready to rock and roll. So I know so many people, I know a lot of our listeners feel like they have to be ahead of the people that they're mentoring, or they have to be, successful before they can start sharing. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome. Just get over it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kidding. Yeah, there's a couple of things with that, right? Obviously, imposter syndrome. How could I shed advice on this? So I guess how I started with the revenue share thing was because also, like, I didn't have set game plans or set structures. It was kind of like a learn as you go, like, okay, what's the offer? What are we going to try and do? Let's start building this thing. But then it's like even easier to get the client, because if you charge, like if you just charge, which not saying don't charge, right? But if I was to just start charging up front, a lot of people would have said no, and I would have taken for so much longer to get traction, which is like, let's just do something, try and make some money, right? Same concept with, let's say if someone's a life coach, like when you start, who cares about making money? Just get out there and start helping folks, right? And it could be a barter system of some sort, because there's not like a monetary value with that, unless you find someone that's like maybe an executive that you're going to do life coaching for. But the barter system could be like, okay, like think of a Tupperware party. Like, I'm going to help you. And then after I help you, you're going to invite me to 5 people, right? And then I'm going to go help those 5 people and they're going to invite me to 5 people. So the main thing is just get out there and start doing the thing. Don't be so worried about monetizing the thing. And this is a message that, what's his name? Gary Vaynerchuk talks about a lot. I used to not like the guy, but I've been hearing him lately and I'm starting to dig his message. And it was about patience. So many folks are so focused on making the money first, which I think the money man's the mission, but it's like you got to get out there and you got to start helping folks and get a track record first, because the track record helps makes the sales easier. So just get out there and really start helping people, which the helping builds momentum. The helping starts leading to other money. And I'd rather someone be focused on momentum than money, because the money will end up coming.
I love it. Couple things that I'm learning it. I mean, it's like I already knew it, but I just hadn't really articulated it like you did. That imposter syndrome, I'm feeling like happens because we are asking for money.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it's like, am I going to be able to give the value that is in exchange, you know, because I don't have the practice or whatever. And so I remember when I first stepped into the life coaching business, I was a breakthrough coach, and I scheduled, and I did this for free. I did probably 8 hours a day for like 6 months of free coaching sessions, one right after another. They were scheduled every 30 minutes. I was doing like 10 to 15 calls a day, 5 days a week. I got so dang good at breakthrough, I cannot even tell you. And I served so many people, didn't charge a dime, and I got tons of testimonials, and I still have
and
some
confidence
testimonials. Yes. And so then there's no more imposter syndrome, because you have so much value that people have given back to you in the form of testimonials. And it helps boost your confidence. You know, it's like, wow, I am really making a difference. Now, this is different. I want to caution listeners, because, you know, if you're just getting started like this, there is a period of time where you're in a learning curve and you can totally give value and you can receive from those testimonials and things, and improving your skill at the same time and helping people at the same time. So it's totally a win-win. But there comes a time when you definitely need to start charging, because as long as there's that value exchange, it's great. But as soon as you know you're good enough, you know that you're providing value, then you've got to create something that where people can actually offer something back to you, because your value has increased. It's more than just worth a testimonial.
So have a plan to get to the payment.
Yes.
So whether it's, because again, if someone's a coach or consultant of some sort, go find someone that would, if you got that someone great results, would they be able to, do they hang out with other high caliber people that would be clients, right? And I also want to say this too, because sometimes when we tell people like a should, they take that as like, that is the foundation of the should. So it's also possible to start from scratch and generate money, but that is with the process. That's like working with someone like me that could give you a proven process, right? Of developing your offer, putting it into a message, getting it out in the marketplace with the message, bringing people in, and then signing up clients, right? But if you don't have that, or you don't have the means to pay for a high-level expert to give you those tools, just get out in the marketplace. Start creating content and start helping people. And the money will come.
And trial and error, you know, you might feel like you did some failures, but you're definitely going to learn from them. And it will take you where you need to go. I have a firm belief that God can take you anywhere from anywhere. So as long as you're on that path and you're doing your best and you're going where you feel inspired to go, it's going to work out. Because
I know we're speaking to a Christian community here. I want to speak to those that always put everything on God. I'm a believer in God. I pray, I do all that stuff, right? I believe God is not going to do the work for me, right? I need to be prepared, and he's going to open a door. I have to be the one that's going to be courageous enough to walk through that door. So yes, pray to God that he will open those doors, but be courageous enough to put in the work to get the job done.
Yes, and you are absolutely an example of that, because you could have easily given up at any point during your journey.
I think technically I kind of did. Because it was like I was licking my wounds, right? But I'll tell you, and then it led into working with those other folks, right? But also at the same time, I knew what didn't work and where I failed. And that's where I got into like other coaching programs for Facebook ads, and then really started getting good with Facebook ads, because that was the chokehold. That's where things were breaking. But it also led me to put in the work to get better in those areas that I failed at. So yeah, failure is your best friend as long as you can learn from it.
For sure. So it's okay to take a, little break and
yeah.
But I want to remind, our listeners that you were in a coaching program, you were in a mentoring program.
Yeah.
So you were still, on that path of learning, of trying to better yourself, all of that. So I think it is still really important to note that you were making decisions, you were investing in your process,
sharpening your skills always.
Yeah. Before we go any further, because I don't want to forget, because I know you've shared a lot of really awesome things. I know there's going to be people out there that will want to connect with you. Can you just tell our listeners what's the best way to connect with you, Victor, and maybe your website or any offerings that you have that they can look for?
Yeah. So you go to eightfigureempires.com, and 8 is spelled out. Most likely you'll see a video on there, depending on when you're listening to this or watching this, of a video of me explaining my process of how I collaborate with other high-level experts. There's no sale, there's no offer, because we don't charge up front. But I also got done with a 3-day workshop that I intentionally filmed, because I'm going to chop it up and turn it into a free course. So for some of those folks that are out there that want to get into coaching or consulting, or maybe you are and you're still kind of green with how to get clients and do leads, get leads and offers, that's a good resource too. It's not up there yet, but there will be some form of a link to be able to get free access to it. You could always go find me on LinkedIn also. My URL is exponential-growth. So linkedin.com/IN/exponential-growth.
If you want to maybe shoot me that link, I'll make sure that that's in the description as well. And I just want to say my experience with you, Victor, is that you are someone who is very generous and you are true to your word. Yeah. You have a real desire to put value out there, and you have a desire to help people build to that 8-figure level. And I know we had a conversation. It wasn't quite time for me. Yeah. But one of the reasons why I have you on my podcast is because I want to stay connected with you, because at some point I really feel like I am going to be hiring you. So
yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. And thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Oh, I did want to share too, that one of the things that I found is that 6 figures is the norm. I know we used to, years ago when I started in the mentoring business, it was like everybody wanted to get to 6 figures. Everybody wants to have like a $10,000 a month. And then the next level is like 6 figures. And, it was this elusive number, but I remember when I hit 6 figures, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize I was at 6 figures. And when I did my taxes, I was like, what? I was totally shocked. And I'm just like out there doing business, and it worked. And so I love that you are doing 8-figure, 7 and 8-figure empires, because that's my next level. That's where I want to be. And I really believe that God created this earth to be abundant. And when we get in that flow, and part of it is giving, it starts with the giving and then the receiving. And we have this natural abundant flow that happens. Yeah. And it can't help. If you are giving more, if you're touching more lives, if you're influencing more, the money has to come, unless you are really focusing on stopping it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that does happen sometimes because we have limiting beliefs about money, you know?
Yeah. I agree. The more you
But
have, the more you could give.
yes, and the more you have, the more you can give. So it
Yep.
perpetuates, right? We
Yep.
give, we receive, we can give more, we receive
Yep.
more, we can give more, even more.
Yeah. And in the Bible, it intended for us to be wealthy in all areas.
Yes, I've done a study on that. I have even created a course called The Lord's Way to Wealth
Hmm.
because, you know, the very first commandment he gave Adam and Eve was multiply and replenish.
Hmm.
Multiply and replenish the earth. And it doesn't mean just mean babies.
Yeah.
We
Well,
are all created to multiply. So
yeah.
yeah, I love it. All right, so Victor, before we end, I just have one last thing that I would like to ask you. And this is like a piece of advice that you can give to our listeners. What one question would you recommend that our listeners will ask themselves today that will help them get the inspiration to recognize their expertise and their true gifts so that they can start living in their power? How would
Yeah,
you help?
that's uh, uh, so the simple answer is I would tell them to answer the question you just gave. It's a really good question. Almost the question itself is good enough. But if I was to elaborate on it, one is like, what's your talents and what's your passions? And then what fills you, right? Because I help high level experts fill their programs, right? And that produces money. But coaching folks is what's fulfilling for me. So, so I would do an internal interview with yourself of what do I enjoy most, what fulfills me, what energizes me. Because like when I get off this call, I'm going to be energized. Like I could even be like, I don't want to get on the call, but hop on the call and like I'm energized. This kind of stuff energizes me. What brings you energy? What brings you fulfillment? And what are you good at? What wisdom do you have? Like if we're talking like coaches and consultants, right? What wisdom do you have? And I've often talked to folks where they don't even recognize their own little genius or amount of wisdom they have inside themselves. Or if you've been a mom, you have wisdom of being a mom. If you've been married for 5 years, you have 5 years of wisdom. If you've been married for 20, you've got 20 years of wisdom, right? So a lot of people have more expertise than they give themselves credit for because they're not labeled or they don't have that certificate, right? Which that's a whole nother topic. You don't need those acronyms to make money and help people unless it's like therapeutic stuff. Like that's a whole different conversation. But tap into your what do you enjoy, what's fulfilling, what's meaningful for you, and what are you good at. So that's the interview, right? Internal interview, and do an external interview of folks that are closest to you that really know you. Like, hey, like if you were to label me with a couple, like 3 things that you think that I'm really good at, that you would come to me for advice, what would it be? And send that out to like 10 or 20 folks and see what they come back. And I guarantee most are going to come back with this one thing that they think you're great at. Oh, I think you and your spouse have like a great example of a relationship or whatever it may be. I think the big thing also would be imposter syndrome is if fear or money or whatever was not an obstacle for you, what would you do as well? Like, I'd be a public speaker, but oh gosh, I would never get on stage, but I'd love to be a public speaker, right? So if you get out of your own way, what would you do? And then ultimately, like I would go through that, and then I would put down what would I want my perfect day or week to look like. Like, because it's like a life coach. Okay, so if you let's say, oh, I want to be a one-on-one life coach, I want to work one-on-one with people, and I want to make a couple 100,000, which you could doing one-on-one, but do you to do that, to earn that and to do the one-on-ones, do you want to do 8 to 10 hour days of one-on-one calls and that be your life? So I think it's a matter of alignment as well that we talked about, because some folks will want like this 7-figure business, but there's sacrifices that come with that, right? So what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you not willing to sacrifice? What's your priorities? You know what I mean? your priorities have to be in alignment with who you are, your faiths, all that stuff, which making a whole lot of money is not against the Bible. The more you make, the more you could help. I think the more you make, the more it brings out the person you are. So yeah, so I think the recap on that would be the internal interview, the external interview, and then alignment of how you kind of want your life laid out, your daily and weekly life.
I love it. And I appreciate adding that last thing of, what do you want your life to look like? Because I've had people ask that question in the past, and it's like, I want to get up at 9 a.m. I want to, whatever. No, it's, are you willing to sacrifice for what it is that you want? And if not, if you're not willing to sacrifice for the way that that other people do it, is there a creative way that you could actually still live in, your power and do those things that you really want to do and be, living in your talents and everything? Is there a creative way that you can do it that would still be in alignment with who you want to be and how you want your day to look?
Yeah. And I even have, if we have enough time, I even have a good example of that.
Sure. Go for it.
So my wife and I got married when we were 20. She was going to college. I was not college bound at all. And her goal is to become a doctor. She's like a genius at books. She reads a book and memorizes it and gets an A. Oh. So she's going to college and she gets pregnant. I have no idea how that happened. So we end up having our first child at 21. And she had to make the decision of do I still want to pursue this goal of becoming a doctor? Which she was kind of saying yes, but then she was, remember that alignment? Like, how do you want your life to be? What's the priority? And she's like, I don't want to go to school for 7 years and then have to work so much other hardworking hours away from my kids to become a doctor. So she had a higher level priority. And then also her dad was in the mortgage business, and she thought I could just go do what my dad does in the mortgage business and make a similar type of income. And that's what she ended up falling into. Beautiful. So yeah, just a little, I don't know, story on how to weigh out those priorities and what you really want.
Yeah, that's really great. I appreciate that story. And I think a lot of times when people start weighing out those priorities, instead of being creative and trying to find another way to use your gifts, because from what you tell me, I'm sure your wife is like amazing at what she does. They a lot of times will just give up. They'll be like, well, I guess it's just not time, it's not God's timing, whatever. And they blame God for it, or they blame, got pregnant, whatever, blame the circumstances. But in reality, there is a way to work around things. You might try a couple of directions and it may not work out exactly the way you think. But like I said before, if you are honestly working towards, doing your best at what you feel like you're called to do, then doors will open and you just have to have the courage to walk through them.
So. Yeah. Like timing. So patience, like you got to have patience. Yeah. If she wants to, she'd go back to school now. She's only 44, still young. She'd go back to college if she wants to, become a doctor, right? Be doctor by age 50 and have 20 years of being a doctor if she chose to. But I don't think she wants to go to school.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Victor. This has been welcome. Really, really fun visiting with you. And I'm just so grateful that I don't even know how we got on the phone. I think I responded to something that you posted, or I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a DM. It was a friend thing, because I was friending people on Facebook. That's we just naturally had a conversation, right? Yeah. And then we ended up having a call.
Yeah, exactly. And I was one of those people, and we became friends before we actually got on the call.
Built the relationship first.
Yeah. And I was one of those people that was kind of looking for what you were offering. So worked out perfectly. And it will work out perfectly.
Yep. Looking forward to it too.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure our listeners have really enjoyed being here too. And make sure you check the description to reach out to Victor, see what he has to offer, and look forward to being back together for another episode of Get Inspired and Live in Your Power.